before.
I'm gonna do everything I can to make sure that does not win and the Democrat Party loses the...
And here's the after.
Remember, no one's free until we're all free. And we can't protect ourselves if we can't protect each other. This is the time for all the minorities, all the movements, all the working class to come together and really build power and really fight against the fascism that's been here.
Now, the guy in the video was acting all high and mighty at the beginning, and then afterwards he's like, we have to come together to defeat fascism. Because during the election season, he actually went out of his way to tell everyone to not vote for VP Harris, and then later came back on saying that he wasn't going to vote for Rump either. And then Taco got into office, and then he realized how freaking crazy Taco is. And then he's on TikTok saying that we need to all come together when the time to actually do that was back in November of 2024. But the switch up from his first video to the other video is absolutely bonkers because he did not participate and now wants to participate because he does not like the outcome. But let me know what you think about the situation, and my name is Philip, and if you like what I post.
People who don't vote will complain about the policies of whoever wins. You have to vote to try to change the policies. Complacency is support for egregious actions. My eldest kid heard me when I was filming the initial video where I was saying it's so important for all of us to vote. And that when we say the vote is rigged, voting doesn't matter, all we're doing is aiding Donald Trump because he desperately wants to suppress the vote. He does not want you to turn out to vote. She popped in and said, you know who rolls up and votes in every single election? Your white 90-year-old neighbor who was on the wrong side of the civil rights movement. Old racist white people show up and vote in every election. Your chuddy neighbor with the thin blue line bumper stickers on his lifted truck who thinks that women should be denied basic health care, he votes in every election. The Maha to alt-right pipeline mom who feeds her kids tuberculosis-ridden raw milk and thinks RFK Jr. is making America healthy again, she turns out to vote. When you don't vote, you're only helping Trump.
Breaking news, the Trump administration has blocked a U.S. Department of Agriculture report showing a $49.5 billion deficit in agricultural trade products with the United States and the rest of the world due to his tariffs. The report was dated May 29th, and the report has been heavily redacted. Donald Trump held it up because he didn't want the world and didn't want the U.S. citizens and MAGA and others to see that because of his actions, farmers are going to lose billions and billions of dollars thanks to Donald Trump's trade policies. They did so before in his first term, where he had to bail them out to the tune of about $30 billion because of his trade war and tariff war with China at the time. Still seeing the same thing now. China and many other countries have canceled contracts with the United States. They're looking outside the United States to purchase, and farmers and those that are employed on farms are going to pay the price for Donald Trump. There you have it. Love you for my Democrats and my MAGAs and my crazies and my cuckoos and my burned out labels. They want to hide everything, just like Ron DeSantis in Florida want to hide everything. How is that Hope for Florida Foundation going, Governor DeSantis? Got a little win today. Sorry. Love you for my Democrats and my MAGAs, my crazies and my cuckoos.
Hi guys, welcome back again to my channel. It's so good to have you. Thank you so much for clicking when you saw this video. So I came across these videos on my FYP. You know how a lot of MAGAs came out and was like, oh, they heard that Democrats are saying that the current administration will be taking away women's rights. So they decided to vote for him so that their rights will be taken away. Now, a lot of people are not screaming out because they are actually, all of these things that Democrat told them is coming to reality. Medicaid is being cut. Farmers are, feeling the heat because no more grants coming their way. They're no longer getting financial aid from the government and all that. A lot of people are feeling it. The cost of living did not decrease. Everything is on the verge of, and some other people are now calling for reconciliations and let's come together. These are Latinos. Anyway, I'm just going to let these videos roll. Then I'll come back with the commentary. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. Please go ahead and subscribe to my channel. Credit to all creators on this video. So let's go watch.
Maine farmers are fed up with the Trump administration and went to Augusta on Wednesday to protest the funding cuts and unpredictability that his USDA is causing for these farms. 150 farmers and supporters protested outside the state capitol, driving tractors and livestock trailers and carrying signs to draw attention to how President Trump is hurting Maine farms. We've told you before about how Trump's USDA has broken signed contracts that it had with farmers across the country, leaving those farms on the hook for thousands, often tens of thousands of dollars in costs that were supposed to be reimbursed. We've also told you about how the Trump USDA shut down the programs that helped Maine schools and food banks purchase food from local farmers. A lot of Maine farms were already struggling. These cuts from the Trump administration are making it harder for them to survive. A farmer from Monmouth who attended the protests asked, "Who is this working for? Not working people, not farmers." Be sure to like and follow for more Maine news.
Where is this fantasy opinion coming from where people are saying that MAGA is not happy with what Donald Trump is doing and that we regret our vote? I'm serious. You do realize that we are still the silent majority. Yes, we are louder than we were before, but we still are the silent majority. That means just because people are quiet, it does not mean they are not happy with what Donald Trump is doing. In fact, they are ecstatic and they are rooting for him behind the scenes very loudly. They are watching you closely, watching your posts, and are shaking their heads thinking, you do know that we are getting exactly what we voted for. Have a great day.
So you have people who are on the internet crying and regretting their votes. Then you have other people who still believe that the president is their savior, that he's not going to, he's going to change their situation, turn their situation around and all that. These people are still there. And that's somebody like this guy who is talking about how he doesn't regret his voting anyway, and everybody should stop talking about people who are regretting their vote, because truly, you have a lot of them who actually come on the internet to cry about how they casted the vote and now they are regretting it because they didn't believe what every other person was telling them in the beginning. People told them that Obamacare was ACA. They didn't know that Obamacare was ACA. Like, we legit was using ACA, not knowing that the same thing you call Obamacare is ACA. Some of you hated this whole Obamacare thing. You didn't want to hear about it. You didn't want to know anything about it. And now Obamacare is gone. You're not finding out that the Obamacare that you hated is actually ACA. You wanted ACA, but you don't want Obamacare. Now you have people who are not crying for Medicaid and Medicare and SNAP benefits. A lot of them are crying out for it because they can no longer get all of those things. Veterans, single moms, every one of them who voted for this are not crying on the internet because they didn't believe that this was going to happen. They didn't know at all it was going to happen to them. They are now finding out that it was a big mistake that in the first place that they made, because a lot of them actually give out their platform only to campaign for this current administration. Some of them said that Kamala was too emotional, she's a woman, they won't be voting for her because of the... Now you're seeing Trump and Elon on the internet clashing legit in front of the whole world. If you go to Facebook, you're seeing people talking about them. You go to Instagram, everywhere you go, people are talking about their relationship and how they've broken up and all of that. And yet, you still have people who are supporting the current administration, still believe that Kamala is very emotional. Now, aside that, we have the farmers for Trump who are also, finding out that they made a huge mistake because they voted against their own interests. During the time of Biden, they had grants that was coming to them, and now those grants are no more because the government said they're trying to cut waste. Now you have Latinos who are constantly being targeted by ICE, deported back to their country on a daily basis. You have Cubans who massively voted for the current administration because they didn't want a black woman as their president. Now, guess what? These same people are now at the verge of being deported. Lots of them are being picked up by ICE at courthouses. Some of them are being picked up at their workplaces, their homes, schools. And yet, these same people are still coming out to say, oh, we support the current administration. He's going to do this, he's going to change this, he's going to change that. These are people who massively voted. Some of them are crying. The people who actually needed the help, are crying on the internet. You still have the people who voted who are now finding out it was a mistake that they made in the first place on the internet, crying and saying, oh, I wish they could do better. Regretting your vote does not take you away from the consequences, because somehow, the consequences will always be there. You will definitely meet your consequences somehow. You know what people always say? Elections actually do have consequences. So this is that one consequence that everyone has to undergo. Unfortunately, it's going to affect everybody. The tariff system that is currently in place between China and the US, because a lot of things coming from China, you have from Canada, from everywhere. The tariff is going to affect everybody. Unfortunately, even the people who didn't vote for this are also going to, feel it. But somehow these people should be prepared, have prepared their mind ahead of time. But for these people who didn't believe that he was ever going to implement tariff and tariff and taxes, those are the ones that really going to feel the whole heat. And I'm sure they're already feeling it. Well, guys, let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. Let's have that conversation in the comment section. Please consider subscribing to my channel if you have not already. And don't forget to give the video a thumbs up so that more people can see it. So I look forward to seeing you all on my next video. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Thank you and thank you. See you next time. Bye.